Brexit is already harmful. It's already harming us, and it's likely, if it goes ahead, to be catastrophic. We're already harmed economically, and we are already a more inward-looking and meaner society. And I feel it every day as I go around. It has already started to happen. It's a way of thinking. As things stand, we're due to leave the European Union on the 31st of March 2019, not very far away. And for most people, they see that as something which is absolutely inevitable, whatever they think about what's happening. Now, at the very beginning of the campaign on this issue, when we started with the referendum, those of us who wanted to remain, and wanted to remain very, very strongly, warned about the problems that would happen if we left. And every piece of information which has come out since that time shows that the problems are there, very likely to be there, as we said it, probably more so. Whether you look at the economy in terms of jobs and growth, whether you look at the National Health Service in terms of the people who will run the National Health Service, whether you look at public sector generally and the effect on public finances if the economy goes down. And that means less money to run public services, and we could go through a list item after item. And has any positive information come out? Well, I haven't heard any. And neither have many of the people who actually voted to leave the EU and voted for the reasons that George has spoken about. Now, here in Liverpool, and in this constituency, 73% of people actually voted to remain, and we're one of the highest Remain constituencies outside London. I'm very pleased indeed and proud, and I say that is the case. But I do meet people, and there are a lot of people who wanted to leave. But what I've noticed recently, and it's people not just here from Liverpool, talking to people more generally, a lot of people who voted to leave who are now saying, well, we didn't really know all that, did we? They didn't tell us. They all lied to us, didn't they? We didn't know it was as complicated as this, or that all this was involved. But they all think that there's no alternative. Now, there has been some polling recently, and Survation published the polls that they had undertaken only last week. And that shows a move, quite a significant move. I wouldn't say an overwhelming move, but a significant move from people who wanted to leave, who now think it would be a better idea to remain. But I still think that for many of those people, they believe it is a done deal. And somehow something's been set in motion and it has got to happen. Well, you know, if you believe that something will be catastrophic, if it's just going to happen, you have to challenge it. And you might win, you might not win. But if you just say, okay, it is awful, isn't it? That's where we are. I don't think that is good enough. Now, where are we nationally? We read reports and different stories are coming out by the hour. It appears that the Prime Minister may be close to some kind of deal. I'm told that there's a deal that doesn't have the Northern Ireland bit in it, which means it's not really a deal at all, is it? It's 95%, but nothing's anything till you've got all of it. It is also said that she's going to be putting something to her cabinet this week, and then will be discussed in Parliament later. It has to be quite soon because there's not much time to go. So if she's got some kind of deal, she's got to convince her cabinet it's okay, and then she has to convince Parliament. Now, whatever it might be, it inevitably will be very, very complex. And I don't think anybody will really know exactly what it actually is. It will all be about presentation. Who can present what? Who can identify the likely problems in whatever's put forward? Who can see what's wrong and who can express that? So I think that's a very big task there, that if there is something, how's anyone going to understand what it is? We have to know what it is we're looking for and do that. I think many of us do know what we're looking for. But I don't think that we should just shut our minds to Prime Minister, Cabinet and Parliament. There are a lot of people out there as well, out here. A lot of people. This started with a referendum, which I don't like at all, so I didn't say that to begin with, but that is how all this process started. And there are members of Parliament who are very concerned about this and think they should be stopped in some way. They can't quite see how, but are worried about what the people think, however you define the people. So in discussions we have, I think we have to think about what it is that may or may not be brought back, what happens in Parliament in terms of any votes, but what about the people who actually started all this off in a referendum? So I want to think about people's vote as well on whatever deal comes back, but with a Remain option. There has to be a Remain option. So having accept that it is a done deal. And I think those of us who are concerned about it, very concerned about it, have to see this as a new challenge there. What comes back, what is it, and what about the people? There's still a chance to stop this madness.